It's a Friday edition of Locked On Cardinals, and we are not previewing a game on Sunday because the team will square off with the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football. How the Rams can avoid a disastrous second game against the Cardinals. I think there's a blueprint out there that the Cardinals need to follow to win this game. Chase Edmonds could potentially be back. He's off the injured reserve. How do they reincorporate the running back into the starting lineup? And statistical evidence that proves the Arizona Cardinals are for real. We're getting into it on today's edition of Locked On Cardinals. It's Bo and Alex.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's going to be a fun one out on the Great Lawn as you're going to battle traffic on the I-10, the 101 to get your buns to State Farm Stadium for Monday Night Football. Taking on the Los Angeles Rams in the second of two games, hopefully just two games against this team the rest of the way out. The Arizona Cardinals, they handled the Rams at SoFi Stadium in week 3 of the NFL season. Can they do it at home? Can they start to take care of business at home? I was thinking about it, and there's a way that Matthew Stafford can avoid another disastrous performance against the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm not saying this to like root for the Rams, but just there is a way that they can beat him. There's a path that the Rams can beat him. Like, let's not forget that Sean McVay was undefeated up until earlier this season against Cliff Kingsbury, and the Cardinals were just since he took over the reins as the head coach for the Los Angeles Rams against the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll get into that. Also, we'll get into which teams you should be rooting for this weekend before the Cardinals play on Monday Night Football, and statistical evidence that the Cardinals are for real. Like, if you haven't jumped on board yet, like the last 3 hosts that we've talked to, they probably need to take a look at these stats. And for you, when you're arguing at your family dinner table during the holidays, you can use these to back it up. It's Bo Brock. It's Alex Clancy. Follow along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Clancy's Corner. Follow Alex, and of course, follow me at Bob Brack. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by On Location, the official hospitality partner of the NFL. It's the only place to score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Visit locationexp.com/SB56 for more information, or search Super Bowl On Location. We didn't bring this up, but and I don't want to pile on. I don't want to be petty, but we're petty.
Since when?
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
How bad is the Jamal Adams trade for the Seattle Seahawks? He's done for the season, right? He's done for the season. He registered as many sacks as Alex and I did. 0 sacks this season. He did have 2 picks. He finally, made a play in coverage. But how bad is that? 2 first-round picks, and then they just absolutely backed up the Brinks truck for this safety to be, I guess, the next star on that team next to Russell Wilson. How bad is that trade? It's got to be one of the worst in the NFL in the last decade.
Yeah. Well, it could be number 2 to San Francisco trading up to draft Trey Lance. We don't know. It's like seriously, it's part of the arms race that we've always talked about, and the Cardinals being, eons behind the other teams, which they were up until about 18 months ago, or 2 years ago, whenever they traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Like, this is the opposite of the beauty of when trades work out, where if a trade like this doesn't work out, you're screwed. Like, legitimately screwed. And if Jamal Adams ended up being Ed Reed, okay, you're like, cool. I guess it makes sense. Obviously, he's not the exact same player. Two first-round picks is a lot, but if he were all-pro perennially, had 5 or 7 sacks a year, learned how to drop back in coverage like a DB supposed to, and kind of played the hybrid linebacker role as well, maybe we'd be talking a different tune. But yeah, the dark side of bad trades is dark. Like, it's bad. And look at what the Jets, the Jets are just piling up picks. The Jets are just piling up picks on the other side. So Seattle, it just a button on this, because I said this before the season started. I've said it midway through. The Seattle Seahawks would be like a 2-win team 2 years from now. They're going to sell everybody. Jamal Adams, Russell Wilson, etc. I even think they should trade.
Who's going to take him at that price tag?
I don't know.
I mean,
they might get a 5th round pick for him. It might not be a lot.
I would probably say that if you can get anything, it's like the David Johnson trade from a couple of years ago. It's like if the Arizona Cardinals could get anything, but luckily they were able to to deal with Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans organization, and were able to pull off highway robbery and somehow get DeAndre Hopkins. And here we sit now, the Arizona Cardinals 10-2, facing off with the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football. Huge division game, one that the Arizona Cardinals can pretty much take a stranglehold of the division, or the Rams can make things a lot less comfortable the rest of the way out. Games like against the Indianapolis Colts and Dallas Cowboys are going to be nail biters. Instead, if they do take care of business against Los Angeles, then for a second straight time, you can maybe take a breath. You can breathe a sigh of relief after Monday night.
Yeah, I mean, the other way to look at it, yes, agreed. And, Green Bay is going to beat Chicago Sunday night. Okay. So if they do and the Cardinals lose, they're now the 2 seed quickly, like immediately. They move from the 1 seed with a little wiggle room to no wiggle room, and then having to play 2 teams that are probably going to be playoff teams to wind out the season. Indianapolis is no joke. No team's going to want to play them in the playoffs. Say what you want about Carson Wentz. We haven't seen him play important football because he got injured during his MVP run. They've got a great defense. They've got the best running back in football with Derrick Henry out. They're not a slouch team, and the Cardinals play them on a short week. They play them at home. It's Christmas. Jingle bells. The Cardinals could lose. It's not a coast for the rest of the year. And that's what we have to keep in mind.
Yeah. When I look at the Colts, I see a team that's just a nightmare just matchup for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, you DeVorest Buckner in the middle of that defense, or in the teeth of that defense. You've got
another terrible trade in the NFC West.
Yeah, Darius Leonard at the linebacker position, who's one of the best draft picks in the last 5 years. I don't care in any round. The fact that they were able to take him and put him in their defensive starting lineup, and all he's done is make plays. He's punching the ball out at a just incredibly high rate. And then you've got some guys in the defensive secondary playing at a high level. And then on the offensive side of the football, what's the toughest offense for this Arizona Cardinals defense to match up with? It's one with a dynamic running back like Jonathan Taylor, and he's playing at an MVP caliber level. Okay, look, there is a game plan that Matthew Stafford could follow that could beat the Arizona Cardinals, and I think he'd be reluctant to play this style of football. I'll tell you what it is coming up here on Locked On Cardinals with Alex and Bo here, hanging out with you at Locked On AZ Cards. Of course, follow along, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for making us your first listen. Super Bowl 56 at SoFi is less than 100 days away. And On Location is the official hospitality partner of the NFL. And it's the only place to score once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Select your exact seats and choose from elite experiences featuring an exclusive pregame celebration with NFL legends, 5-star LA hotels, and food by the great Wolfgang Puck. Visit onlocationexp.com/SB56 for more information, or search Super Bowl On Location. That's onlocationexp.com/SB56, or search Super Bowl On Location. I just heard that Built Bar is getting wild with their holiday flavors. I just saw that they have an eggnog flavor. My God. And it's incredible what they're doing. And it's always on point as far as their flavors. It always tastes like they say the flavor should be.
Bro, go ahead. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing is, am I doing this or you?
You take it home, baby.
Okay, sweet mothers. I was just going to go get my Built Bar. They're sitting on the top of my refrigerator. All of the flavors. Lemon cheesecake. There's this new caramel one, apple caramel, that's insane. Like, the thing is, they keep getting better tasting. The puffs are like candy bars. They're like candy bars, but they've got 18 grams of protein, less than 5 or 6 grams of sugar, like high fiber, low calorie. It's everything. This is not a joke. Okay. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar and the healthiest candy bar you'll ever ingest into your loins. We do these every week. I got to change it up a little bit. Built Bar. Go to Built.com. Use Locked15, 15% off your order at Built.com. Locked15, use that promo code for 15% off at Built.com. They're coming out with different flavors every couple days. Just go. Stocking stuffers.
There's some eye-popping numbers. My lights go out here in the studio that will prove that the Arizona Cardinals are the favorites to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl 56, as we were talking about there with our rad read about On Location. We'll get into those. But I think as far as Monday night goes, there's a game plan that Matthew Stafford could follow that would lead to success for this Rams team. And I don't think he would do it. I think he'd be very reluctant to play this role, because where he's had all the success is driving the ball down the field. And where we've seen Sean McVay and the LA Rams, and when it was Jared Goff even under center in the shotgun, they were extremely successful rolling him out, making short passes, and running the football. That's the blueprint. Game managing. Matthew Stafford didn't come to LA to be a game manager. I think his ego is going to be too much in the way, and that because of that, the Arizona Cardinals are going to be in line for another W. But if he's able to kind of put his ego aside, become that game manager, hand the ball off, heavy doses running the ball with Henderson and with Tony Michel, who sounds like he'll probably be the lead back going forward. Those quick hitting rollouts. If the LA Rams try to impose their will like they did in week 3 and play their game plan now with Matthew Stafford, it's not going to work. The Arizona Cardinals just don't give up big play passes. They don't. I mean, they're suited to, if you're dropping back, you're going to take a deep drop, and then you're going to, try to throw into coverage. One, they're either going to hit you before you get rid of the football, and Matthew Stafford becomes extremely pedestrian throwing the football when he's under pressure. And then 2, you saw Byron Murphy, snipe a pass earlier this season against them. It's an opportunistic defense. I mean, it's everybody in that secondary wants to get their hands on the football. So I just think that he won't play the game plan that Jared Goff was very willing to play and put forth. That Matthew Stafford won't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Them not having Robert Woods is a big deal. I talked about this with Sosa yesterday. Robert Woods is, they don't have Deshaun Jackson anymore, right? And then they
released him. Yeah, he's with the
Raiders. And then Tutu Atwell was supposed to be their guy in the second. They don't have a whole lot. Van Jefferson, Odell Beckham, who are you going to trust? I agree with you, but the thing is, Bo, their possession receiver is also the number 1 receiver in the NFL. So it's not like you have somebody on the other side of the field that could run 10 yards and turn around on 3rd and 6. They don't have that because Cooper Kupp is going to get blanketed by the Cardinals. That's going to be the spy. That's going to be the guy they're going to try and stop. So being a game manager is a little tougher when they have this wide receiving core, sans Robert Woods and sans Darrell Henderson, who's made a huge leap. I mean, sans Darrell Henderson at 100% capacity, who's made a huge leap catching the ball out of the backfield. He's become one of the better receiving wide running backs. So I agree with you. The ego thing is there. I mean, it's a good point. I just don't know if it's as possible with the team is currently constructed to be a true game manager and hand the ball off 30 times a game and control the clock. I just don't see it.
Yeah, so I see it as far as if they want to get into a shootout, if they want to continue to run that offense that's been successful against these crappy teams like the Houston Texans, the New York Giants, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, it's going to work against them, but it's not going to work against the Arizona Cardinals. The chances of winning a game like that are very slim for the Rams. I'm not saying that they can't. You can get into a shootout, and if you have the ball in the last possession, it's possible, but you're playing into Vance Joseph's defensive scheme. You're playing into, he's going to get Marcus Golden after you. He's going to get Chandler Jones after you. He's probably going to rush guys like Byron Murphy like he did last week and exotic blitz packages with Isaiah Simmons. It's Matthew Stafford's not going to know where the pressure is going to come from. And with that, Cooper Kupp had his worst game of the season against the Arizona Cardinals. The only team that's been able to contain him was the Arizona Cardinals in week 3. He had 60-plus yards receiving. That's it. He had one big play in that game. That was it. But that's how they kind of make their money in the offensive side of the football. It's just interesting. You brought up the point about Jared Goff And I think as far as in this situation, as far as the offense that needs to be run, and we've seen it like Kirk Cousins ran it. I mean, I know there was a bus play that was big in that game with the Minnesota Vikings, but Kirk Cousins is like the most like game manager on steroids in the NFL. Like that's just how he's going to take what the defense gives you. He's going to get the ball out quick, and he's not going to, if he's going to see pressure, he's going to get. He knows what he's doing with the football. Where Matthew Stafford is going to be stubborn, where I'm going to take my 3, 5, 7 step drop no matter what, and I'm going to try to huck it and show off my arm strength as much as possible. So I think that plays into the Arizona Cardinals cards very well.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, they're not the same quarterback by any stretch, of course, but the lack of mobility is, they have, I guess they had 2 good receivers, but man, yeah, Kirk Cousins tore them to pieces in the first half. And I guess that's a good comparison. You used to know what the Rams were going to bring, regardless if it's Jared Goff or not. Even early in the season, you knew what their game plan was. It was run the ball and throw the ball to Cooper Kupp. Like that was it. And then, you had your ancillary pieces obviously in place. The defense you couldn't trust, so they had to put up a lot of points, and they lost games that way. And I don't know what Matt Stafford we're going to see. Like with Jared Goff, at least you knew that the floor was lower, but he could throw for a 400 burger any Sunday, depending on the game plan and game flow. Matthew Stafford, he's a little bit more two-faced, where you don't know if he's going to lose your fantasy football playoffs or if he's going to win it for you. He's that kind of quarterback, where he could throw for 220 yards and 4 interceptions any game. It doesn't matter. Any game it could happen. Or he could look like an NFL MVP. So that's more the question mark for me. It's like you can't pigeonhole exactly what they're going to look like. And still, they've only been together for 12 games? This is still very new in the incubation stage, head coach, quarterback, and wide receivers.
The Arizona Cardinals are getting a key piece to their offense back potentially Monday night. Chase Edmonds, how does the team reincorporate their former RB1? Does he get back another crack at it? Let's get into that conversation, but I'm pumped to tell you about my favorite socks, because have you tried Stance socks before? We got I've got a couple pairs. I've got some Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. I've got some Beastie Boys Stance socks. Like, these are some legit, and they're warm, comfortable socks. Gives you a sense of confidence and just simply feel better wearing some Stance socks. Like, what are your favorite designs, Alex? I mean, there's a couple of them out there. You got Wu-Tang Forever. You got Batman. You got the Goonies. Nostalgia just runs crazy in these Stance socks. And, it just makes you believe it's the perfect fit, and fit matters the most for those to make you feel good, do good. You go see for yourself. Register for an account right now. Stance.com. Get 15% off your first purchase by using the promo code Locked On at checkout and apply. Enjoy the color, the comfort in a life of a less ordinary with Stance. I do. I've got Stance socks on right now. If it was acceptable to put my foot up on the desk, I would do that. But
don't do that. Don't do that.
Maybe one day I'll do it here on the YouTube channel. Thanks for making Locked On. Listen, yeah.
What was your first concert?
Oh, man.
Your first live concert. There's a reason.
It's embarrassing. Cranberries.
Was it Cranberries? Okay. Yeah. I wish I didn't know that. Mine was Beastie Boys, the Great Western Forum.
Oh my God.
That's why I asked. Yeah. That was I didn't know what loud meant until. Yeah, Beastie Boys, they were incredible live.
We're going to give you a full preview come Monday morning. It's going to be there for you Monday morning, wherever you get your podcasts, or on our YouTube page at 10 a.m. Monday. Enjoy the games this weekend. There's a couple games that, look, you got to be rooting for the Washington football team over the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. That'd be huge as far as the top NFC seed goes. Cincy over San Francisco, because just screw the Niners. Houston over Seattle, that would just continue to be funny. Buffalo over Tampa Bay. Chicago over Green Bay. So it was announced today that the team was going to bring back Aaron Brewer, their long snapper, who's been on the shelf, and Chase Edmonds back, and they've got the next 21 days to activate those guys. How do you think that they should reincorporate at least Chase Edmonds back into the lineup?
As quickly as possible. Because like you'd think that slowly is the right way to say it. Let's ease him in. Let's get if he's playing, he's healthy. And I think that this is the perfect time to cool the jets on James Conner a little bit. And it seems counterintuitive. It seems counterproductive for as much as James Conner has done. But now I would put James Conner and Chase Edmonds on the field at the same time, because James Conner is now a focal point of defensive coordinators and defensive head coaches, because he's the guy that makes all of this tick. Sure, Kyler Murray, et cetera, but James Conner has been the constant every week, whether it be Colt McCoy, Kyler Murray, et cetera. It's been the defense, and it's been James Conner scoring touchdowns, catching the ball, running the ball, whatever. I think putting Chase Edmonds in as quickly as possible to kind of keep defenses honest, or at least keep defenses thinking they have to be kept honest, is imperative for the Cardinals down the stretch. You know, I mean, and you want to keep James Conner healthy as possible, and not to say you want Chase Edmonds to get injured, obviously, but a 50-50 split would be a welcome sight for James Conner needs to stay healthy truthers such as myself.
And he'd be going, Chase Edmonds would be back in the lineup against the team that he had his best game against, 120 yards. He had a big 55-yard rush against the LA Rams. He's had some success against this team. And when you look at Chase Edmonds this season, I mean, the guy's averaging 5.7 yards a carry. I mean, that's you've got to be excited about that type of offensive weapon coming back into the lineup. It only just gives, Kyler Murray once again a full embarrassment of riches. You can go two different ways as far as the style of running back. Now you know a little bit more about James Conner, and then you've got your tight end and Zach Ertz, and you've got your 4 wide receivers that you can always lean on at any given moment in the game. I mean, that's just nightmare fuel for opposing defensive coordinators. It really is. I think that you can go back to a 50-50 split. And if you want to, and as Alex pointed out, and as we've pointed out, the workload is so important, especially to keep Conner fresh for the postseason. I think that you could even lean on Chase in a couple games, like against Detroit coming up, get him more involved and more acclimated to this offense, maybe go 60-40. We'll see. It just kind of depends. I mean, when they're in just must-pass situations, when they're in like the 2-minute drill, I mean, it's Chase Edmonds this time. He'll be back in the lineup. You could put James Conner there. He's made a couple stellar plays in the passing game, but Chase Edmonds, that's his strength as far as this offense goes. Now, Josh Weinfuss, not only did he do a really incredible piece about how Kyler Murray is the best, greatest high school quarterback in Texas history. It's a pretty cool interactive piece where it's video, and it brings together some great elements, and how he's better than Matthew Stafford was, and he's better than a couple other guys that Vince Young included. He also pointed out that the Arizona Cardinals have a 31.1% chance to make the Super Bowl. They have a nearly 55% chance to make the NFC Championship game. They've got a 99.9% chance to make the playoffs, and a near 85% chance to make the divisional round. It's just, look at us. Look at us. You believe it?
Who would have thought? Yeah, I mean, it's special. And this is the first thing that I thought of was, this is the first time there's ever been any sort of expectation put on the Cardinals from a national perspective at all. And it came from a computer. That was the first time any actual expectations, any sort of, the Cardinals should do this, because nobody believes that the Cardinals should be where they are. And nobody thinks the Cardinals are an actual Super Bowl contender. A computer does. So chalk it up for the CPUs of the world. I don't know. At least it's just cool. This is just a cool ancillary thing. This isn't any sort of pundit or any sort of, survey taken, because you don't want the pressure. You don't want the stress. They're free rolling, but also they're trying to build for the future. And you know what free agents are looking at? How the Cardinals are going to finish this year. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
just free advertising.
There's no bias here. It's just, it's a computer. It's not somebody who covers the Rams that says 100% chance that they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender. It's not, a guy that covers the Packers who is just going to be drinking the green and yellow Kool-Aid. And, it's not going to be a guy who's been watching Matt Nagy call bad plays on offense all season long. It's an actual computer where the Arizona Cardinals are the favorite, nearly 19%, which is the highest in the league, to win the Super Bowl. And we'll leave you with that. It's pretty incredible where we are, 10-2. We're going to go full preview mode. We're going to give our offensive, defensive players of the game come Monday. Can't wait to really break this game down, dive into it. Enjoy the games this weekend. Enjoy your weekend as a whole. Thanks for checking us out on Locked On Cardinals. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And, of course, follow us on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Bob Brack, and at Clancy's Corner. Talk to you guys soon. Now make Locked On Bets your second listen after making us your first listen.